Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our In the Inbox series, answering questions about Belize real estate. We are on question number 119 today, and this question was asked to us by Pamela. Pamela had been down here to Belize before, but this time she was coming to Ambergris Caye specifically to look at real estate, and she wanted to see what we recommended for her to do to be prepared so when she found that right property, she could put her offer in. So I'm going to share with you some of the tips that we gave her, and then some that are going to be helpful for you too if you're new to looking at real estate here. Number one, first and foremost, please make sure you have your travel essentials, your passport. This is always the big one. Please note your passport must be valid for at least 6 months after your return. So if you're returning back on the 7th of the month, then the passport needs to be valid for at least 6 months after your return. Check your passport right now. Make sure it's going to be valid for that amount of time after your visit. This is actually true also for many other countries. So just important for you to know the status there. In addition to that, a round trip plane ticket. Sometimes when you're checking into your flight to Belize, the people there at the gate agent, they're going to ask you for your round trip ticket. So just make sure you have a ticket back if you do not have a status in this country, meaning you're not a resident or a citizen here or have a work permit. And then travel insurance, of course, this is completely up to you if you need it or not, but we have found that whether there's an emergency that people weren't prepared for or weathering bad weather for their trip and they needed to rebook things, travel insurance can be handy. Secondly is financial preparation. So really get a good understanding of what it is that you can spend on real estate comfortably. Make sure you're factoring in that 10% closing cost as well. This is really important. A lot of people forget about that. I'll put a link in the description below that talks more about the closing process specifically and to make sure you're prepared with all of those numbers. But generally, just make sure that you're talking to whoever you need to talk to get that A-OK to be buying property abroad. Now, I will tell you, I find many financial advisors and attorneys tend to be very conservative, especially if they're managing your money. They don't want you to take your money out from under their management and put it somewhere else where they're not going to be making money from it. But hopefully you have somebody who understands you, understands your goals, understands your visions, and can really and truly help you through this if this is something that's important to you. So get that A-OK from whoever you need to in order to know that you can move forward. Third point I want to make sure is that you're getting in touch with a real estate agent. Obviously, we are a real estate company here, but I would recommend interviewing a couple of different agents and making sure that they can best represent you. You want to find that one buyer's agent who you know is going to be on your team and show you everything that's out there that pertains to your interests. A lot of real estate agents here will only show you their listings or listings within their real estate company. So you want to make sure that you're finding a buyer's agent who can represent you and show you a handful of different properties. It's not really uncommon for a realtor or a real estate agent here to ask you for a buyer's representation form because it is a fairly unregulated market here and there are tons of realtors and real estate agents around. I mean, I know bartenders and taxi cab drivers, they're also doubling as real estate agents. But you want to find that one person who you know is going to represent you well, and understand what you're trying to do and how it is that you can accomplish it. I find that when you're honest with your real estate agent, they're honest with you back. When you're committing to your real estate agent, they're committing back to you and making sure that you're getting all of the information that you need. But a couple of things that you can do to prepare with that real estate agent is ask to understand what that closing process looks like. Again, I'll put a link to that in the description below so you can understand it more if this is new to you. But I would also do things like ask to see a template of the offer to purchase, right? This is a great way to understand what your paperwork is going to look like if you do want to move forward with a property that you see. Fourth and final tip that I want to mention here is making sure you have your paperwork in order. So as you find property that you like, you and your agent are going to complete the offer to purchase, and there are going to be some due diligence documents that they need from you. So they're going to need a copy of your utility bill, no older than 3 months, showing your current address. They're going to need a copy of your driver's license. They're going to need a notarized copy of your passport, showing your picture page and also your signature, that full page there. And then proof of funds always helps. This isn't always required, but this is great for you just to have to make sure that you are looking at property that best suits what your budget is. But these will be the documents that are required from you. You don't necessarily need that paper copy, but just have a copy accessible via email where you're able to send this to your agent because those are documents that they're going to need in order to put your offer in. So these are the ones that I would highly recommend as you are preparing your trip down here specifically to look at real estate, making sure you have those travel essentials, make sure you're financially in a situation where you're prepared to purchase property here, get in touch with an agent who can be your buyer's agent, And I do want to make one more point here is that there is typically no cost for a buyer's agent because commissions are still paid for by the seller here. So this is good for you to know, is you don't have to shell out extra money. I think in the States they're doing this now. So just understand that. And then of course that paperwork preparation, make sure you have that ready for the offer to purchase when you find the property that you like. So when you see a property that you like, here are some tips for you. This is probably something that you will be doing with your real estate agent naturally. This is something that they should be doing with you anyway. But first and foremost, make sure you understand the numbers. So understanding the size of the property. We just had this happen where one of the clients didn't really understand the size of the property. And she began with her architect to make the home bigger than the actual parcel was. So we had to reel her back in and go through the survey with her again and say, this is the size, this is what you want to be building your home around, is the size of your property. But understand the listing price. If the property is going to have seller financing, understanding what that seller financing term looks like, you can go through those sort of numbers with your agent, understand property taxes, HOA fees, basically anything numbers and money-wise, you're going to want to understand. Also, is the price firm? This is something that it's kind of a game. You know, real estate is kind of a game here, but some agents will tell you the price is firm, the price is firm, the price is firm. Others say, no, there's flexibility and negotiate. So just understand that with the specific listings. I know sometimes people want to negotiate even when they say price is firm, but I would go by the recommendation of your real estate agent. Also, is furniture included? I mentioned this because I've been coming across more people, especially more of the residential properties, that are not leaving their furniture for a long time. And really what we tend to see in the market here is people will leave their furniture because they're not going to be taking it back to the States with them or to the States with them or wherever they're from, right? This might be a second or third home for them. But double check this because sometimes you may find that the accent piece or something that you really like is not going to be included. Also, is it already part of the rental program? If having your property in the rental program or a rental program is important to you, then you should understand if that property is already in the rental program, and if it's not, what is it going to take to get it rented? What do you need to do? Are you going to be responsible for the Belize Tourism Board license, which is essentially the hotel tax? Who's going to take care of that for you? What are costs associated with it? Also understand how the property is currently titled. Is it held in somebody's personal name? Is it a transferable corporation? Again, things that your realtor will discuss with you. And then also we always recommend, again, something you and your realtor will do is, how long has the property been on the market? Why is the owner selling? And then be prepared to put in an offer. And, you know, I would say typically real estate here is on the market for about 6 to 18 months because we do not have an MLS. So marketing it, getting visibility of it tends to take a little bit more time than in a place like the States or Canada, where there's a developed marketing system like the MLS. But some property could be on the market here for 18 months. You're looking at it, you just find out there's just the one buyer that comes in right before you and picks it up. So I see this as kind of a moot point, is how long has it been on the market? Because, you know, there are many reasons why it could be on the market for too long or longer than you may anticipate. But all it just takes is that one person coming in before you, right before you, and swooping it up, even if you'd been eyeing it for a while. This has happened to our clients on a couple of occasions where property was on the market for 14, 16, 18 months. It even changed agents. And not that there was any different marketing that was done between the different agents. However, it's just that right buyer that came in right before our client came down. So be prepared to put in an offer if you see a property that you like, and then you can work with your real estate agent about any contingencies. Typically, contingencies will include making sure it's a clear title, will include if it's like in a condo or an HOA property, that you approve the bylaws and that you approve the rental management agreement. So things like that. But again, it's going to depend on the property that you're looking at. And then just a couple of extras is make sure you're taking pictures and taking notes during your property tours. It's not uncommon to look at many, many different properties. So this will help you to remember and jumpstart that memory when you're trying to think, oh, was it this property that I liked? Or was it that property that had the granite countertops and whatnot? In addition to that, before you come to Belize, download WhatsApp for communications. This is how a majority of us communicate here in Belize. It's an app that you're able to text and call any number from for free as long as you're on data or Wi-Fi. Most places here have Wi-Fi, so it's easy enough to get in communication with people, but a lot of restaurants, tour guides, hotels, businesses, us as agents will tend to have WhatsApp to be able to communicate with our clients and everyone else who's here on the island. And then if your plans change, please do let your agent know. This is important. You know, they're getting prepared to show you the properties. You know, typically you want to let your agent know that as soon as possible, because we do still need to request showings. There are some properties and some agents that need 48 hours in advance, especially if it's being long-term rented. They need time to confirm whether or not you can get into the property. So this is important to do as soon as possible. And then for your showing day, bring lightweight clothes. The sun is warm out here, so like the Columbia shirts, the SPF shirts are really helpful. Sunscreen, I'd always say closed-toed shoes, especially if you're going to be going to construction sites. We don't have OSHA here, so make sure you're bringing those closed-toed shoes for the trip. There's a lot to chat about. What I would love to do is hear from you. Let us know what your interests are. Let us know how our team can best assist you. Our goal and our company has really been education first, making sure our clients know what the process is and what they need to know prior to coming down to look at real estate here. We don't want to throw all the information on your lap when you're here because it is going to be overwhelming. So let us know what your interests are. You can email us, message us, scan that QR code there. And in the description below, feel free to let us know when you're coming down to Belize, or if there's any other information that you'd like for us to answer for you in the inbox series. All right, everyone, we hope to hear from you and see you in Belize soon. Bye-bye.